Hi everybody. I am going to start some eye cutting videos for you and demonstrate how I cut the eyes in all of my antique reproduction heads. Now each head that I do will be a little bit different because it's on a different head, of course. So the technique is mainly all the same. I'll just have to be changing the size and the shape and all of that. So I will go over all of the tools that I use in the regular weekly class when I do it live, but these are pre-recorded videos that I'm making during the week so I can post them for you. Okay, this very first video is going to be on the S325 Lilianne from Sealy. So I'm going to start with a diamond perfector, and this is made by Master Eye Beveler, and I get these from the Bell collection. I believe I have a few of these downstairs for sale. I think they're $13.95. But this is what I'm going to use to score. Let me get my Optivisor down here. This is what I'm going to use to go around the eye. I'm making a score line here. So when I go to cut the eye out with the X-Acto knife, if I do this correctly, it will stop the eye from chipping as I'm cutting it out and won't break through into the face. Okay, so I want to go around, 4 or 5 times, both upper and lower. Let me move this water a little bit farther out of the way so I don't hit it. Then I also need to gently blow the Greenware dust off of there so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, not sure. Yeah, see, that'll show up for you. See how I've scored that eye? Okay, now I think I have a new blade in my X-Acto knife. I'll know as soon as I start doing this. I'm going to put this in the center, right in the center of my eye, and I'm going to start drilling a hole in here. Now I prefer the round handled X-Acto knife to a flat handled scalpel. I don't like scalpels. I like these that I can twist and turn. And you know what? I think I'm going to try. I'm not sure if this is a new blade or not. Seems just a little bit dull. I'm going to put me in a new blade. I like really sharp blades for this. I usually change my blades every, probably $3 or $4. So let me get a new blade in here. And hope I don't cut my finger off trying to do it. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so see how I've got my hole started? Oh yeah, this one's sharper, so the other one must not have been a new one. Okay, so now I'm going to, depending on the size doll you're working on, this one makes a 24-inch lady doll, goes on the about 20-inch lady body. I'm going to take my circle out to where it goes all the way down to the lower lid line and the upper lid line. So I can get about one more turn here. Want to be careful not to go too far. Now, see how these eyes are very almond shaped? Oops. Never know where I'm going here. See how these eyes are very almond shaped with very pointy corners. I want to make sure I'm getting this point to my corner right off the bat. So I'm going to bring my knife. You're not going to be able to see over my hand here. But see how I formed the point already? So I am lining up this point right here with the point in the corner. And so as I clear this out, I'm aiming right to that corner point there. So I'm going to take some off from the bottom. Then I'm going to take some off from the top, some from the bottom, some from the top, some from the bottom. And then see how I have a nice sharp corner there? Okay. Another thing I want you to notice is I am not angling my knife. I am holding my blade. It's almost impossible to show you this. My hand is in the way. But I have my knife blade really straight. I'm not angling one way or the other. I have my knife blade inserted in there very straight. So that way it's not beveling the eye as I'm cutting. Okay, now I want to take it to the other corner. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make little tiny cuts here until I can get a corner that lines up with my outside corner. Like so. See this very sharp corner I have right here? Now I'm going to keep working my way this way, working my way to that corner. But with the eyes, the French eyes like this that have extremely pointy corners, you can't wait till you get all the way to the corner to make a point there. So, you know, don't be cutting out a round eye socket all the way to the edge and then decide you need a pointy corner. You want your pointed corners from the very beginning. So I just keep taking some off from the top, some off from the bottom. Remember, I'm not angling my knife. I'm holding it in there straight so I don't end up beveling. Okay, need to take just a little bit more. I'm not all the way to the incising line. Getting close though. Okay. So there's one eye cut. You know, just the beginning eye is cut out. See how close I can get this up here that it'll focus. Next video, I'm going to switch to a different camera I've got and see if it will work better. Let me take it out and then bring it back in, see if that helps any. Okay. There's that one. Now, I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye and try and match them up then. Okay, so I'm incising around the outside edge. Okay, need to keep incising here. Okay, now, same thing again. X-Acto knife pointed right in the center of the eye. I'm going to start the hole, and I'm going to go as far up on the blade as I can to widen the whole center of this out. I eventually want to touch the upper and lower eyelid with my knife blade. I just don't want to go past that, or I'll have to make my eye wider than I want. Okay, I'm pretty close now. Make a couple more turns. Okay, I think I've got it about as wide this way, up and down, as I want. So now I'm going to start making my point in this outer corner. And see how I'm lining up this point with where I'm aiming to right there. So I'm going to take some from the bottom, some from the top, from the bottom a couple of times, then from the top, top, bottom, top, top, bottom, trying to keep it lined up with that corner, outermost corner. Okay, I got that far. Now I'm going to turn it around and go towards the nose. So I'm going to finish taking out the center. Then I'm going to form my point going into that eye corner here at the nose. Okay, so see, even though I'm trying to figure out how to hold this, I still have a ways to go right here, but I have my very sharp point here. This is extremely important because if you've got rounded corners all the way to the outside, then you'll never get your nice sharp point. So even though I've told you this 20 times now, it is a very important point, because you can't wait till you get all the way to the outside edge and then decide you want to make a pointy corner. Okay. So still getting my fine point here. Still taking off some from the top, some from the bottom. Keeping my knife straight so I don't do too much beveling. I need to take some of the top off here just to get it out to the incising line. Okay. Now this gives me the rough cut on these two eyes. They're definitely not perfect yet. I've got quite a bit more work to do on these. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is this one right here needs to be taken out a little bit more to even it up with this one. So I'm not quite to my incising line on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to widen it up just a little bit. I need take some off of the top. Okay, that's looking better. Okay, so there we are so far. Now I want my, oops, where did I lay it? I need my stain cleaning brush. This one. Now this is what, before I do any beveling from the inside, I want to make sure my eyes are smooth on the outside. Because as soon as I start beveling, it's liable to chip out if I don't make sure that my outside edge is smooth. And this particular doll, the Lilianne, the S325, it has some like ledges right along all the way around the outside eye edge. When they made the mold, there's like a ledge there. And I need to get rid of that. It's like a square lip that comes out. And if I don't get rid of that and round it out to where it's a nice flowing rounded corner coming out of there, it'll be extremely hard to paint the eyelashes. Okay, wait a minute. Just trying to figure out where to hold this. Can't go that far. Okay. So right now I am taking this brush and I'm actually going from the outer edge in, and I'm rounding out that lip. So I'm actually brushing in. I'm going from up here to the inside of the eye. And then I might do a few swoops upwards also. I also want to switch to a smaller one of these brushes that I can get in there better. I'm still trying to fix this eyelid ledge so eyelashes will smooth over it really nicely and just kind of flow over it. Otherwise, I don't know if you can see on this one or not, but right here, when you cut out the eyes, it leaves this square lip right here that will never work to get eyelashes painted over. Okay, so I'm going to smooth this eye out now so I can get started on my eye sizers here pretty soon. So now this is the S325 stain cleaning brush from, it's a Sealy brush. Last time I tried to order these were out. Not sure if they're back in stock yet or not. Okay, so I'm still smoothing off the bottom ledge. And the same way with this, I am working from the outside in. It's a little hard on the brushes, but that's the curve that forms that eyelid the best. If I keep going this way from the inside out, it'll flatten it too much. If I go this way, it doesn't do as much damage to my lower eyelid. Otherwise, if I kept dragging it down, it would take it off completely. This is just kind of smoothing it out. Okay. Upper eye now. Upper eyelid. So same thing, I'm taking this brush, I'm pushing in to the center of the eye. Then I'm brushing back and forth. Okay. I think I've got it smooth enough that I won't chip when I go to start beveling. Okay, one thing I forgot to grab is my knee-high nylon. Hold on, gotta grab that. Okay. This is just a cheap pair of knee-high nylons that I want to wrap over my eye sizer. I'm going to start out with just the wooden eye sizer in a 22 millimeter. Okay, so I'm going to lay the nylon over the eye sizer, stretch it out, and then I'm going to fit it in there. And it pretty well covers from side to side, so it's a good size to start with. So this was the 22 millimeter sizer. So now I'm going to do some turns with the 22. Both eyes. Okay, now I'm going to switch to a 24. Now this one happens to be one of the Stone Grit Master Eye Beveler eye sizers. This is the 24. I still want it wrapped with the nylon, because especially that Stone Grit will chip my eye out from the inside. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and do a bunch of turns with the 24. What I'm trying to do is bring this eye sizer into the front to where it's beveled really thin, that, you know, your eye will fit right in the socket and they won't be sitting, back in the head any. Your eye will come forward and be right at the edge of the eye area. So I'm now using the 24. I'm going to switch over to the other eye here. Okay, now before I go one more size eye sizer bigger, I'm going to go back with my smaller white stain cleaning brush, and I'm going to go back over this eyelid again. This now has such a distinct lower bag under her eye that's extremely hard to paint over. So I want to get this to where the paint will flow down over there to do the lower eyelashes, and then I want the same thing up above here. So I'm going to take this brush. Now this time I'm putting the brush inside and I'm pulling up the forehead. Because I'm smoothing down that inside ledge there. Okay, there's a little bit of an area here. I'm going to go back in and trim just a little bit of that off with my knife. There, that's much better. Okay, so I'm going to smooth my inside edge again. Okay, same way with this side. I need to take off just a little bit. Now on most eyes I don't have to do that, but the way this one is formed, I need to take off just a little bit of that in there to make it sit correctly. Okay, now back with the brush again. So I'm coming from the inside out over the curve there, back and forth, back from the inside out over that outer edge. Okay, then I'm going to turn it upside down and do the same thing on my upper lid here. So I'm inserting the brush to the inside and pulling it up. Okay, got that done. Let's hold this up and see how it looks. Okay, needs a little bit more work, but I'm not done yet anyway. So now I am going with a 26 millimeter eye sizer. I've used the 24, the 22. Now I am going to switch to the 26. And I want to do some turns. Now you can see how well that 26 is fitting in there. I want to do some turns with the 26. I probably do the least amount of sizing with the 26, with the largest one. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the other eye. Okay. Now, I think I need a little bit more. I still have this kind of a distinct lower bag here under her eyes, and I want her to still have that lower bag, but I don't want it to have a sharp edge that my eyelashes won't flow over it. So I'm going to give that a few more turns, you know, not turns, but a few more swishes with the brush here. Now, one thing that I find that helps when it comes to matching the eyes is, I don't have it right here right now, but I have a stand-up mirror on a pedestal, and I will hold the head in front of the mirror and look at the two eyes and see how well they match and what I might need to do to make them match better. If you put it in front of the mirror, it really helps you to be able to see any mistakes that you might have. Okay, I think these are, they're looking pretty good, except I think I need a little more height on this eye right in here. So I'm going to take off just a little bit of this right up in here. Yeah, that looks better. And then I think I need to take off just a little bit more down below. Okay, those two look a little bit more even. So now, since I made another cut on there, I've got to smooth it back out again. And we're going to go back and show you the eye sizers. But I will make, before I put it in the kiln, I will, you know, hold it up in front of the mirror again and really look it over one last time to make sure my two eyes match as close as I can possibly get them to match. Most antique doll eyes don't match, so I mean, you're usually never going to get perfection here because it's in the mold. They usually don't always match. You'll also find with this Lilianne that one ear is lower than the other side too. When you do the applied ears, now this is the head that Dennis did the applied ears on the other night, and in the mold it has you putting them crooked. So there's not much you can do to change that. That's the way the antiques were, and not a whole lot you can do to fix that. Okay, now let me show you here. My last one that I finished off with, the biggest one, was a 26. So I'm going to work my way back down now. I'm going to do a couple of turns with the 26 on each eye. Now I want you to see if I can figure out how to hold this up here so you can see it. I'm going to insert my 26 sizer in there and see how well that 26 fits with no gaps. Same way on this side. No gaps. Okay. Now I'm going to take the 24. And I'll show you the 24 fits like perfect. Okay, both sides. Okay, now I'm switching down to the 22, which was the one I originally started beveling with. Okay, now this one fits really good, but there's going to be a little bit of a gap at each corner because it's not just quite big enough. But you know, this head's going to shrink. Okay, so it fits good in the middle, just has a little bit of a gap. at each corner because it's not quite big enough. But by starting with the smallest eye sizer first, then a medium, then a large, 3 sizes in a row. I started with the 22, then the 24, 26, then I worked my way back down 26, 24, 22. And I have a little bit of leeway there that different sizes of eyes will fit in there. I have a much better chance of getting an eye that fits really good. Okay, now I can see one thing right here. Right there, as I'm looking at it here, I need to take off just a little bit. Just right in there to level it out better, so the two match a little bit better. But by using the 3 different sizes of eye sizers, starting with the smallest one that will fit in the eye socket pretty good, and then doing 2 sizes up, I have a much better chance of getting a range of eyes. Not all eyes are the same. Different companies are going to have a little bit different shapes and sizes. They're not going to be all uniform. So I have a much better chance of finding a pair of eyes that will fit if I've used 3 sizes of eye sizers in there, as opposed to 1. Otherwise, if you only use 1, you're going to have to find an eye that matches that eye sizer once it shrinks. And that's the only thing that's going to fit. I've got a lot more variants to fit eyes with here. Okay. Still taking just a little bit of that bag off of there. I want the definition there, but I don't want as much as what they had when they made the mold. Okay. So I think those are pretty close. Okay. Now, before this head is put in the kiln, first thing I need to do is I want to make sure my earring holes are not filled up. Okay, so I'm using they call it a lady finger tool. I'm just using this and opening up the earring hole that had already been pre-done. But it had kind of filled back up with the dust, so I'm just kind of dragging that in and out to make sure that's open good enough. And then the other side. Because sometimes these will fill back in with you, on you with the dust, and then you can't get your earrings through your wires. Okay, those are good. Now, I'm going to take the Greenware cleaning brushes. These are called Tibbs brushes. I get these from Bell. They're also the quick clean brushes from Sealy's. This one you can tell I use the most. It's a little bit wore out. But where we live at here, it's still extremely cold. It's been cold here. We've only had a few days in the 60s. Otherwise, it's colder than that here. So when Greenware is poured, in the wintertime, we will get like a scum. Can you see that yellow scum on the cheeks, the nose, and the chin? We will get that scum, and it's from the cold here and things drying faster on the high points of the face than the rest of the face. So before I put this in the soft fire kiln, I want to go over everything in the Greenware. So this is just a little glass of water. I'm going to blot my brush. So I'm going to dip it in the water, blot it, and then I'm going to very carefully go over that yellow scum that's on the nose and the cheeks and the chin. Now remember, this is Greenware, not soft fire. You can't do this on soft fire after it's already been soft fired. Okay, now I'm going to go over the entire cheek area. I'm going to smooth this out as good as I can in the Greenware stage. So now I want to take that scum off the chin. I'm going to very lightly rub it across the lips to take any of that scum off there. Going to do the whole cheek area. Now this particular head right here, I notice has a very tiny pinhole right here in the cheek. And if I fill that in now, it's going to be a lot easier to fix than wait until it's been soft fired. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and get me a little bit of dust from the inside of the head. And then I'm going to apply it into that little hole. And then I'm going to very carefully run my brush across it. Now remember, I am blotting all that excess water off of there. You don't want your brush to be too wet. Across the neck. And give it a little bit more to the nose to make sure all that scum is off of the nose. But I'm going to try and do a lot of my cleaning in the Greenware stage, so then after it's soft fired, it goes much faster. Okay, I want to make sure the forehead is good. So I'm just taking very long, light strokes, working my way back and forth across the head. Got a piece of the brush stuck in the head, so I'll pull out that hair and then smooth back over it. Okay, now these were the ears that then I had to apply, and I'm going to go over them. Now I can see there's a little tiny, I need that little brush that I put back. What did I do with it? Hold on. Here it is. Okay, I need something smaller. The Tibbs brushes come in 6 sizes. And you need to be able to fit the brush to the size. Now what I'm noticing is, I don't know if you can see it or not, but when from when Denny applied the ears, there's a little tiny gap right in there where there's a little bit of a hole. So now I want to take some of this dust from the inside of the head. Then I'm going to kind of shove it down there in that hole. I want a little bit more. So I'm going to scrape a little bit out. And then I want to fill that dust in. In fact, I may even want a smaller brush yet. I want to be able to get right down in there and push that dust into that little tiny hole. So I need the brush that fits the best for the job. Those other ones are too big. This one gets me right down there where I want to be and just filled in that little gap there. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is no hole. I've got it filled in. So now I'm going to go back to the bigger brushes and go over the entire ear here. And just make sure it's smooth all the way around there so you can't tell that the ear was applied. But like I say, you need to fit your brush to the job that you're working on. And so the 6 sizes of these come in very handy. Okay, that ear looks really good. As long as the ear doesn't blow off after it's been soft fired. A lot of times when you soft fire them, that's why I remember Dunley put that vent hole in there. A lot of times when you soft fire them, they will, when you put it in the water to soak it, to clean it, every now and then you will blow an ear off. And they can blow clear across the room. It's very weird. I've had it do it a couple of times. Okay, now back to this ear. I don't see any little gaps here like I had on the other one, but I want to smooth this out so you can't tell that the ears were applied. So I'm just going to make sure this gets really smooth all the way around there. Like I say, everything that you can do in the Greenware that you don't have to do in the soft fire is usually easier in this step and really saves you time when you go to do the soft fire because it's already done. Okay, so I've got the outside edge the way I want it. Now I want that smaller brush again that I'm going to go over some of the detail in the ear itself. This brush fits in there a lot better. Okay, now I want to double check one last time. Make sure nothing fell in my hole for my earrings. Okay, one last thing before I soft fire this. Okay, first off, before I do that one last thing, excuse me, I didn't go over the scum on the back of the head. Now you'll notice I didn't take the entire seam line off. This has a very fine seam line, so it will not take much to remove it when I go to start cleaning the head anyway. Okay, another thing you want to do is take your brush and run it around the inside top of the head here to make sure if a crack formed when it was being cut out, to make sure that seals it up. And the same way with the hole that was cut in the neck also. Make sure that is good and smooth. Okay, now, very last thing, one of the most important is I'm going to put my name on it. Always sign your heads. So I use the Diamond Perfector. And you can incise in either Greenware or Softfire. Then I'm going to go back and put the year up here. Okay, so name and year is up there. Okay, this head is ready for the Softfire kiln. And I will Softfire at 019. Okay, so that's it. That's it for this head until I'm ready to clean the Softfire. I will do you some more videos of other heads that I've got sitting here. It's going to be Lady Grace that I'm going to demonstrate on in the regular live class this week, but I'm still going to do an FG lady and a smiling brew that I'll do a separate video of here. So, okay, that's it for this one. I will see you soon in the next eye cutting video. Bye, everybody.